The chicken. We did bring a chicken. Right? The chicken, Matthew chapter 23, verse 37 says, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chicks under her wings, and you would not. And then also he says much the same here in Luke chapter 13, verse 34. And it says, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets and stonest them that are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and you would not. So we find here, this is the only time that it's mentioned in the scriptures. So you don't find them eating chicken. So that would be a problem for most Baptists today. The disciples weren't eating chicken. Not found to be eating chicken. But we see, when is he talking about this? Obviously there's something about the chicken here that Jesus knew, or the fowls of this sort that does it. Now, I'm told that the chicken is the closest relative to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Really? Yeah. All right, so come up here, son, and let's see your Tyrannosaurus Rex, and let's put it with our chicken.
How is it going to fly? How is it
All
going
right.
to have wings?
They say that this plastic dinosaur evolved into the chicken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shake his arms. I can see that, yeah.
Yep, that's it. I mean, it's totally, well, I mean, if you kind of, kind of bend him like that and get rid of his arms and give him little spindly legs and, yeah, that's it. And suddenly started laying eggs that we could eat. So, but that's what I'm told. And yep. So that the chicken is actually just a Tyrannosaurus Rex in disguise. So anyway, but there's something about the chicken that Jesus knew. But I think that God has a special place for birds and fowl in creation, because obviously when you look at North America, it looks like a duck. North and South America, on the map, it looks like a duck here with the beak over here down in Argentina. Even on the flat earth, you've got a flying goose, as they would say. And also, when you take the continents of the world and you rearrange them, you end up with a chicken. So, God's got a special place for fowl in creation. I love this, the chicken there. This is brilliant. He's a rooster, son. That's why. That's a big wattle, that one. So, but I thought it was brilliant. I did like that. So anyway, the chicken. All right, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, there's a lot of debate on this subject, and it depends on whether we believe in evolution or we believe the Bible. I mean, did God create the chicken as it is, or did it adapt from other kinds of fowl? I mean, we know through breeding that we've bred all different kinds of chickens. I mean, the chickens that we have today that lay 300 some eggs a year are different than wild chickens that only lay about 12 eggs a year. So through breeding, we have our modern day chicken. But it doesn't just, but I mean, we go back to the time of Christ, they really didn't know much about, well, maybe they did, I don't know, but about interbreeding, these kind of things. But we believe certainly that God created the chicken, and then the chicken laid an egg. But if God didn't create the rooster, there couldn't be an egg. So there had to be two. So the question should not be which came first, the chicken or the egg. The question should be which came first, the two chickens or the egg. This is the thing, because if there's only one egg, then you can't have a chicken, because you can't have any more chickens. You have to have two. You have to have two chickens, a hen and a cockerel, to be able to have more chickens. So anyway, the chickens have a great memory, and we know this. Chickens, they can know things, and they're very smart at learning things. Once they've figured something out, they'll remember it. They remember where their food is, they remember where their water is, they remember where these things, they all have their spots that they go to, right? They've got a great memory for that. It's said that they can distinguish between 100 faces, over 100 faces of people or animals. I don't know how they tested that. I mean, maybe they had a line up and said, do you recognize this person? Do you recognize this person? Do you recognize this person? I don't know. But certainly chickens do remember things. I mean, Auntie Jessie's chickens all remember Joshua, and he was able to walk up and sit down and pet them. He's a little chicken whisperer. But we're told also they have full color vision. I don't know if they have full color television, but they have full color vision, is what we're told, as opposed to the dogs, which are black and white. So you could just see the chicken. I could see in color. But I don't know. I mean, I guess most birds can see in color because they can distinguish between different colors of different things. So I would, and I don't know why people say dogs can see in black and white. I don't understand how they can know that personally. But unless you've asked a dog and say, can you see color? And he's like, no, I've not got a clue what you're talking about. But, and apparently chickens do dream when they sleep. Now, again, I don't know how they know this, but they've discovered that chickens do have REM. When, not the music playing, but the actual rapid eye movement, when they're sleeping, their eyes do move. When you dream, if you're in a dream state, your eyes move. When you're not dreaming, your eyes don't move. So they figure if the chicken's eyes are moving, this means they're dreaming. So apparently chickens dream. What do they dream about? I don't know. I don't know what they dream of. I wonder if the battery hens and things like that dream of being out in the outdoor spaces. But if they've never known it, I don't know. But so anyway, the chickens can lay between 10 to 300 eggs a year, depending on their breed. So like the bantams that we have can lay, can have the possibility to lay that amount of eggs. So they've got a possibility of laying, I would say out of a week they would probably lay 5 out of 7 days. No, one egg per day. Sometimes they lay 2 eggs per day. But the majority of the time, I mean, most days on a good day during the summer, we get 6 eggs, we've got 6 chickens, so we get 6 eggs. But during the winter, we maybe get one or two every couple of days because they lay depending on the light conditions. So there's more light, the more they lay. They've actually been up this last week, and we got quite a bunch today. And so they can lay that. And of course, they've been bred to lay more and more eggs. So the different types of breeding they can make chickens lay a lot more eggs. But just like anything else, a chicken only has a certain amount of eggs that it's possible to produce. So once that chicken has produced all those eggs, it will never produce any more. It'll go through menopause, basically, or menoclaws if it's a chicken. I don't know. But once she's laid all those eggs, that chicken is no longer laying. It's a lay chicken. You don't eat the laying chickens. Because they're bred for laying, they're not bred for meat. The other ones, the pullets and whatnot, and the broiler hens, those are the ones mostly for eating. But it takes about 3 weeks for an egg to hatch once it's been laid. That's provided it's been fertilized. If there's no fertilized, if you don't have a cockerel, you don't have to worry about having little chickens. Right? And they take about 3 months to reach maturity. And I've got a little diagram up here. And you can see, so here's the chicken, and she just laid her eggs. She's not too happy about somebody coming in and taking pictures. And then we have the egg there as it is laid with the yolk, and you can see the embryo starting to form there. And you can see the little chicken taking shape, and it's day 12, and then next one's day 15. Is it day 18, day 21? It starts to peck here, and pecks, and out she comes. And then nice and fluffy little chicken here. And then it grows up into that. So it's quite neat to see the different things. So it only takes 3 weeks for it to go from that to that. I think that's pretty impressive. I mean 3 weeks through all those stages, and boom, you have a chicken. That's incredible to me. That's just it's just beyond comprehension that something can go from that to that, and then maturity in 3 months. All right. Now chickens are of course omnivores, and which means that they will eat both meat and veg, but they are picky eaters. They are very, very picky eaters. If they don't like something, they are not going to eat it, and they will just sit and look at you. And like, really? I'm supposed to eat this? No, you eat it. So I'm not eating it, that's why I'm giving it to you. So well, we're not eating it. And they're very picky about their food. If they don't like a certain type of grain, they'll leave everything in their food box except that type of grain. And then sometimes you get them spoiled on that because you give them too much of that and they don't want to eat the grain because they want the greens. So they're very picky eaters. And but they will eat bugs and things, but they don't like things that are too salty. They won't eat things that are too salty. They can't taste sweetness, apparently, but things that are too salty, they won't eat, which is obviously something to do with the digestive system and stuff. They're not able to handle that. But they love fish, absolutely love fish, right? Especially salmon, things like that. The worms and slugs, and they will fight to the death over a slug. I should have videoed them eating the slug. It's pretty cool. Especially when the slug gets stuck to their beak and they're flying around and you get the slug, you got half a slug and then its entrails like over here. They're all like, oh! And the thing is, you put one slug in there and they all go after that one slug even though you've got a bucket full of more slugs. And the one that usually the bottom of the pecking order is just still hanging around, so she gets all the slugs. So sometimes it's better just to hang around and wait for it, whereas the other ones are chasing after the juicy slug. But they spend their days mostly scratching around for bugs and seeds, and you'll see them scratching in the dirt and scratching these things, and they'll scratch. They'll get up and they'll scratch like this, and they'll come back and they'll look around and they'll go forward and scratch again, and they'll come back and look, and then they'll eat the stone and realize it's a stone, and they'll spit it out and go oops, and then they'll scratch around again. They'll eat something else and realize they don't like it. They will spit things out if they don't like it. They'll try anything once, but then they'll get it up there and like nope, don't like that, spit that out. But they also are very playful animals. They've been known to play football, as you can see up there. And they like to swing on swings and go on perches and chase each other around. They do like to play. They're very social animals. What? Well, they don't, that's not playing, so that's, but anyway. They're very social creatures and they prefer the company of other chickens. So they like to be in a flock of chickens. They don't like to be solitary. So the battery hens are just stuck in cages, not happy hens. I just think that's ridiculous and shouldn't ever happen just for the sake of an egg. So when you buy fresh eggs, buy free range or happy chickens. At least don't buy caged hen eggs. Right? That's my little rant for today. Yeah. And right, because and the thing is, we can change it. This is a political rant, but if people stopped buying eggs from caged hens, they would go out of business and they would have to start having it. So it's not their fault because people are buying it. If people don't buy it, then the people up the top of the chain have to change it. And it's the same with anything. If we don't like something, we need to stop doing it or buying it, and then they have to go, oh, the people are not buying it because all they care about is money. And so if we buy the product, they'll keep doing it. So same with the false preachers and stuff. If we keep listening to them, we keep buying their tapes, they'll keep on putting them out there, So at some point we have to say, don't even listen to those people, don't buy their stuff, don't do this. Then they'll have to do something, they'll have to change. Now in the chickens there is a pecking order, and each hen has a social status. So each one knows their rank within the flock. The thing is, if you've got a barn full of, if you've got 1,000, I've seen some of the barns in North Carolina, and they've got thousands and thousands of chickens in those barns. There's no way to have a social class in that. So they all end up getting stressed and start losing their feathers, and they start picking each other, and they end up all bald because they're completely stressed out of their normal environment. But if you have a decent flock of chickens, they will find their own pecking order from the top to the very bottom. And it can be easily seen. Like you see the one that always gets picked on by everybody else. So what's really funny is when she turns around and gives the other ones what for, because she gets fed up with it. So now here's where we find what Jesus was referring to when he said, "Gather like a hen gathers her chicks under the wings." A mother hen will communicate with his chicks even in the egg. So even before it's even hatched, they'll start clucking at the egg. And the little chicks start clucking back, or little cheeps, even in the egg. When they're old enough, just before they're about to hatch, they're able to cheep. So you can hear this little cheep coming from the egg. So just tells mama that they're okay and they're ready to come. Almost like the baby kicking his mother in this way, or pushing it. When she's pregnant with you, Jordan, not now. But even after hatching, they will continue to communicate through various chirps and sounds that they make. And the chickens also talk to each other about food, about danger, and other things. And there's tons of noises. Chickens make all kinds of different noises. I can be sitting in the house and I'll hear the chickens make a sound, and okay, they're just playing. But then there's a certain sound that they give. Oh, there's a cat in the garden, and they're telling me there's a cat. So come out, and sure enough, there's a cat in the garden. They got making noises when they've just laid an egg or during laying an egg. And I mean, if you're trying to squeeze that out there, I'm pretty sure you're going to make a noise. But they have all different kinds of noises. And they've got a noise for food. They've got a noise for when there's water, a noise when they're just playing, a noise when they're angry, or, when someone's, what's that? Angry birds, yeah. When somebody's stepped on their toes and is not happy, they'll make noises. And when they're frightened, when they're scared, or when you go into the hutch at night, into the coop at night, it's just this kind of drone. It's like, it's a kind of noises like, who goes there? Advance and be recognized, And I'll tell us, it's just me, just coming to check on you. And you just kind of get another noise, and they're quite happy about it, and then they go back to normal. But the mother hen, as Jesus said, will even adopt other chicks if she's broody enough. Sometimes if you have a broody hen and you can't get her off the brood, what you do is you get fertilized eggs and you put them under her, and she will take care of them like her own. And then or sometimes people have done is what they've done is they've get day-old chicks, and while she's out feeding, you put the live chicks into the nest. She'll come back and go, and she'll adopt them as her own, and she'll protect them. It's the best way to introduce chicks into a flock, because otherwise they'll just go straight to the bottom of the pecking order, and the others will bully them. Whereas if they have a mother, or an adopted mother, she will then look after them and protect them, and she will gather them under her wings, as you can see. This is what they do. And as Jesus said, and this is protection, the hen will gather the chicks around. And that's what Jesus said he longed to do with Jerusalem. He wanted to gather them together, but they didn't want that to happen. Whereas we see the chicken, the little chicks are so helpless on their own. A chicken will even raise the egg of another bird. Chickens have been known to hatch duck eggs and take care of ducklings as their own, until they start going for a swim and the chicken's like, ah! Which is quite funny, I'm told. I haven't actually tried it, but I'm told that somebody did try that with some chickens. They gave them duck eggs, and the ducks all hatched, and the chickens did them like their own. But then the ducks wanted to go for a swim, so they dove into the pond, and the chickens start freaking out because the herd chickens had gone for a swim, which they're not supposed to do. But so it just shows that they'll even adopt things to their natural caring birds, that they care for things. So they take care of their eggs. They'll take care of others' eggs. They'll even steal others' eggs as well. We had a broody hen, and every time one of the other hens went into the coop to lay, she nicked their egg. So we'd go in the coop, there's no eggs, and there's like 50 under her. She's like, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that. And so she's keeping all these eggs because she wants to raise all these eggs for herself. It's like, it's my eggs, these kind of things. So that's why you have to have separate ones sometimes. But she'll sit on them, and she'll keep them warm, and there's different ways you can get rid of, to stop. I was about to say get rid of a broody chicken, but to stop her being broody. There's several different ways, but sometimes they just decide once you've taken the eggs enough time, they're like, oh, forget this, and they go back to it. But they're so caring that oftentimes they don't even come out to eat or to drink. They just sit on their eggs for that long. So if they go for 3 weeks, 4 weeks past the normal stage, not eating and not drinking, obviously the chicken will die. But this is why Jesus used this as a great analogy, is because the chicken is so caring that she will sacrifice her own food and drink to protect her young. She'll sacrifice herself for the sake of the young, to protect them and make sure. And even when they're attacked, a mother hen will come at you. She will attack you if you start coming after a chick. So when someone calls you a chicken, I have to say, well, actually, a chicken with young doesn't run away. She'll come at you and she'll chase you to protect. She'll fight you over her chicks. Whereas we know that some of the animals we've covered, as soon as they're born, right, you're born, right, tally-ho, right, and the mother and father are away. They just leave the young to get on with it. Whereas a chicken, no. She raises them, she takes care of them, and makes sure that they develop in that way. And she'll even hatch she'll turn her eggs before they hatch multiple times a day. And this is needed for them to be able to hatch. The eggs have to constantly turn. So if you've got fertilized eggs that you're doing yourself, you have to turn them by hand many, many times a day, or you have one of those things that does it for you. But this is a natural process of the chicken that they do that. And until people found this out, they weren't able to hatch chickens. They had all the right conditions, the warmth and everything like that, but they weren't turning the eggs. So it ended up the chickens either died or were underdeveloped. This is pretty neat, that something that God has developed in the chicken, that it has to be turned. And the chicken knows to do this. If we would think of how to hatch an egg, we just get an egg, put it in a warm place and leave it. And we think, why doesn't it hatch? But God has built this into the chicken that it knows to turn the eggs. Now, does the little chicks, when they're going to mothering school, say, right, this is what you have to do when you have an egg, as you sit on it and you do this? No. Who told the chicken to sit on their egg and get up and turn the eggs many times a day? Nobody tells the chicken to do that. God put it in the chicken to know how to do that. I mean, you think about it. The first chicken that lays an egg and doesn't turn the egg, no more chickens. So it has to all be there, that information, because you think, right, there's an egg, I'm going to bury the egg like the turtles do. So she buries the egg, she goes away, comes back, no chickens. Right? Or she's seen a penguin, and she lays the egg, she starts walking around like this, or tries to get the rooster to walk around with it. Hey, rooster, you're supposed to be looking after this chicken egg. He's like, I ain't no penguin. I have the feet for a penguin. And you just think about all that information has to be there at the start, or we don't have any chickens. It's very simple. Now, here we come on to the rooster dance. You see the rooster dance like that? Right, I've seen humans dancing like that, but this is the rooster dance. And the cockerel, or the rooster, will do a dance called tidbitting. Right? It's called tidbitting. And he'll dance, he'll put up his wings, and he'll put up his feet, and he'll dance around the yard to try and get the attention of this. And during this time, he'll make food calls, like a tuk, 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 tuk. That's the way we used to get the chickens to come to us. On the farm there, when Cookie had chickens, he used to go out the front door and go tuk, 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 tuk. And no matter where they were, they all just came flooding round because it was a food call. And it's the same noise that the cockerels make, this food call. And the cockerels will tell the others, there's food here. And they'll all come running. But if they've got food, they're not interested in what the cockerel has to offer. So what he does is he does this dance, and he'll pick up bits of food, and he'll drop bits of food for the different hens. Hence where we get the word tidbit from. All right, so he's doing the tidbitting, where he's picking up food and getting little bits of food. And that's where we get that word from. So if somebody gives you a tidbit, that means they're a rooster giving you a little bit of food. They have to do a dance before they do it. And you got this wattle thing under his chin, right? And it's said to get the hen's attention. And they like to see that dancing around when he's doing his tidbitting and things like that. So there he is. Right? The one-eyed chicken. Right. Now, a hen will mate with different males. She's not selective. But if she decides that this one's too low in the pecking order, she actually has the ability to eject his contribution. So if a chicken is, taken over by a rooster that she doesn't like, she doesn't have to have baby chickens with this rooster. They actually have the ability to get rid of that, reject it, and choose another choose another cockerel. I thought that was really interesting. Whereas I don't know of any other animal that can do that, but a chicken apparently can. I know, like our bearded dragons, they can store the contributions. So with one mating session, they can have several clutches of eggs from just one thing. They can store it and use it again and again, which is interesting. So here we have the cockerel standing high on his perch. And he was a guard sometimes. And what he'll do is he'll generally guard the area where his ladies are nesting. And he looks around and he's surveying his chickendom, and he sees all these things and makes sure what's going on. And obviously he'll crow and attack if necessary, if danger is near. So if he sees something that he doesn't know, he'll start crowing and let everybody know something's going on. He's different crows for different things in this way. And he was mostly take a high vantage point so he's able to watch things. That's why the roosters like to get up high so they can see. But again, who told them to get up high? These are things that are built into the rooster, the chicken, the cockerel, to be able to do this. Now, everybody says, the cockerel crows at dawn, and that's when he crows. Well, a cockerel can crow. They can crow at any time. But the crowing in the morning is due to their internal body clocks. Right? They know in themselves when the sun's about to come out. Right? Scientists did this. They tried to trick the cockerels by keeping it dark the whole time, and the cockerel still knew when the sun was about to come up. Right? You can't trick cockerel. You can't stop him from crowing because he knows inside himself that the sun's about to come up, so he starts crowing. It's unbelievable. Whether there's something about, maybe there's something that there's a change in the air or a change in a magnetic field or something like that God just says, right lads, now. And they start crowing. But they did that. They kept them in the dark. And sometimes they got them to crow through other different stimuli. But they always crowed at the same time. Same time every morning. No matter what happened, they knew what time it was. Thought that was interesting. So they do crow as an anticipation of the dawn. But like if a car starts coming around that they don't recognize, they'll crow. If a person comes around they don't recognize, they'll crow. If a dog or something like else, they will crow as well. But they all have this common thing that they do crow just the dawn. Right here. Hey? What's going on here? Anyway, I've got some more pictures of chickens here for you. So here's the chickens in the snow. If you can see that. All right. Here's one of our chickens in the snow, enjoying the snow for the first time. And then I tried to get an interview, but she said, no, I'm eating at the minute. Please come back later. She wasn't too happy about that. And as I said, they like to play, and they like to find the high places. And shoulders is a good place to do, and they like to play on the trampoline. The one thing chickens love to do is they love to sunbathe. They love to get out in the sun and sunbathe. And they always find a dusty bit, and they'll coat themselves in dust, and they get the earth on them. And what they know is that if they've got lice or mites or stuff like that, they cover themselves in dust, and the mites don't like the dust, and so it kills them off. Especially the diatomaceous earth. What it does is it breaks down the exoskeleton of the lice, and then the lice dry out and they just fall off. And the chickens know this. It took humans hundreds of years to figure this out, but the chickens know that about the different kinds of earth, and so they will cover themselves in earth to get rid of their mites and their lice. So they have them what they call a dust bath. They don't go into the water to bathe. They bathe in the dust. And even in the coop, oftentimes you'll hear them flapping their wings, and this is to stir up the dust, and get all the dust on there. And so that's why they root around in there, and they have a dust bath. Again, who told the chicken to do this? Right? The dogs like to roll around in the dirt, but they just like to roll around in the dirt. Right? But the chicken has a purpose in why it likes to roll around in the dirt. And they will put that, when they get too hot, they'll put that wing up and they'll let the sun get under here, and then they'll roll over and they'll put the wing up and get the sun under here. And they just love to lie around in the sun. And then they'll do things. And of course, chickens must be from Scotland because they love porridge. They'll just go nuts over porridge, and they will devour a thing of porridge in a little while. I think their personal favourite is salmon porridge. So once we have salmon, I keep the water that I've poached it in, and I make porridge out of it, and the chickens just go mental for it. I wouldn't eat it, but they love it. I tell you what, they absolutely love porridge. And what's quite funny is when they get it on their beak, and they get it there, and they can't get it off, they'll scrape it along the ground to try and get it off. It's quite humorous in that way. But you can see there's, with the chicken, that God's created a special bird here. You know, it's an amazing bird and really good to eat, and they give us eggs as well. But as Jesus said, to gather them, you can see why Jesus said that, because it's one of the only animals that is really so protective of its young, and others spreading the wings around. And quite a lot of fowl do that. But as understanding the common chicken that has the ability to do that and does that, naturally has an instinct to be a mother hen. And we use that phrase. Somebody's the mother hen because they want to gather everybody together and protect them as much as they can. So a really interesting bird there. Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, again, as we come to you today, we come in the name of Jesus. Thank you for your goodness and for your blessings. Be with us tonight, Lord. Bless in our fellowship. And we thank you for this lesson that we've had and your creation and learning about it. Be with us now and bless us in Jesus' name for his sake. Amen and amen. You are dismissed.